Good morning, brothers and sisters. Happy Friday. We made it. Just 8 more hours to go. I was I was gonna just tell a funny story. I know I usually make my military stories, but today is gonna be a little different. I do have two military stories to tell you. One is mine that I remembered, and the other one was somebody sent me an email, so I'll read that to you later. Um, This story is more about my Asian side of the family. My son asked me the other day, it just dawned on him. I have my mother and my two aunts. I have an uncle too that's in Hawaii from that side of the family, but these three, this is my Asian side of the family. If you ever seen Joy Luck Club and all that, that's my life. So this this question my son asked basically was about my mom and my two aunts. Why are all three of them named Kim? They are. All three of them have the same name. And that wasn't their given names, obviously. So I explained to him when they first came over to the States, they went directly to Hawaii. My mother was the one that paid their way and for their citizenship to come to the States and become U.S. citizens. And they had their Asian names originally, didn't think anything of it until they started to learn more English. I'll explain that in a second. But when they finally decided that they really need to change their names, I'm struggling, so let me drink my tea. When they finally decided they needed to change their names, my mother would often go to the Asian market in Honolulu. And that family that ran the Asian market was Korean. So, as you know, a lot of Asian cultures, when they write out their name, they usually put the family name first. So the Korean names like Park and Kim and things like that would come first. So it'd be Kim Soo Lee or Kim Han Mi or Park Jung Yu, things like that. So my mom saw this, and granted, the family's name was not Kim, but she realized, she was like, oh, they all have the same name. So she goes back to her two sisters, and they decided on Kim. They liked the American name Kimberly or Kim, and so they all three changed their names to Kim too, thinking that having the same name was normal for American Asian families. So here's the funny part. my aunts names were actually pretty cool. My youngest aunt, her original name started with the letter X. In our language, that's actually pronounced more like a Z, like a Z and an SH mixed together. So Zh. And it was Xuan, Xian. So Xuan, if you try to tell an American that name, it kind of turns into the word swan. I mean, all my aunts and uncles from my dad's side of the family called her Swan. And so Kim Swan. And I was like, that is just the coolest name ever. I actually would have kept Juan as my name, but her two sisters were changing them. She was going to do it too. My mom, her name was Duck. It sounds weird. It's Duck like a book, but with a D. And as you can guess, it was spelled like D-U-C. If you're an American and you see the word D-U-C written on a piece of paper, you're going to think that the person's name is Duck. And trust me, people called her Duck all the time. She, in fact, made that kind of like her middle name, and then she just kind of dropped it off altogether. So now her name is Kim Compton. So, all right, Mom. And my middle aunt, was the main reason they had to change their names. My middle aunt's name sounds a lot like my mom's. It was Fook, Lady Fook, spelled Phuc. When Americans read it, anyways, as the story goes, is the phrase that I guess I'm going to use here. So that's my Asian side of the family. I have many more, many funnier ones, but that's the kicker. And my son brought it up. I decided, it was on my mind, and I thought, this would be fun to share. So that's my Asian side of the family. I was lucky enough to have, I don't want to say lucky because I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad thing, but I was blessed with an all-American name. So my middle name was taken after my Irish immigrant grandmother down in Texas. And my dad's side of the family has some Texas stories too. Maybe I'll share some of that. I literally have an uncle in Dumas, Texas that sounds like Boomhauer from King of the Hill. My poor ex-husband loved him, but he was not prepared for that kind of language barrier. My uncle loved talking to my ex-husband and would sit there and tell him stories and show him things because he was a welder. And he would show him things like, stuff from a magazine, and I'm thinking about that one right there. And my ex couldn't understand him and would just, oh yeah, just smile and nod. Act like you understand what's going on. But I'll tell you more about that sometime. Those were good times. My Texas side of the family, here's a common phrase, and Bill, I know you're going to know this phrase. When they're trying to be nice and they think you're falling short, bless your heart. Bless her heart, she tries so hard. Bless his heart, he's so small. Bless their heart. Every time I heard bless your heart or bless their heart, I knew that they had a little bit of pity for somebody. So now this video is turning into kind of a Texas story now, but Asian Texas, that's me. Grew up being called chop suey. So I just thought I'd kick off the morning with a little short story. I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. Happy Halloween. Whether you celebrate it or not doesn't matter, because you just got to be careful out there. It's that time of the year. The year has already been jacked up. People are a little crazy this year. So stay safe, and I love you guys. Love each other, and of course, stay salty.